Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to install an oil catch can in the Ferrari 458.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, this is my garage, and this is my Ferrari 458, and that over there is Moses, and that's Adam's pants. I'm not sure why Adam's pants are here, but Moses is apparently very interested in the smell. Well, anyway, we're going to be installing some oil catch cans on my Ferrari 458. So if you didn't know, the Ferrari 458 has a direct injection engine. So that means that the fuel injectors are in the cylinders and basically no fuel ever hits the backside of the intake valve. So what that means is over time, some crap builds up on the back of the intake valves. I think installing some oil catch cans is going to help that because basically a lot of that garbage that builds up on it is oil residue from the PCV system. So the PCV system is taking some aerosolized oil and vapors and re-injecting it into the engine so it gets burned off to control some emissions. Well, some of those vapors with the oil particulates are then sticking to the back of the intake valves, causing me, well, nasty valves. So before we get installing them, just real quick, if you guys want to support the channel, go check out normalguysupercar.com, and there you can buy Supercar parts and services. You can even buy these oil catch cans, so we'll have a link for that in the description below. These are actually just a generic kit. They go for any car, and I'm going to recommend that any of you that have a direct injected engine should probably consider something like this if you don't really want to have your valves get nasty. So I know like people in the BMW world have been doing this for quite a while. We just did a bunch of work cleaning my intake valves using crushed walnuts. So go check out that video if you're interested in how we did that. But I want to keep them clean for a while. So anyway, let's take a look at what we got and see where we can install these. All right, so here's everything that comes in the Mishimoto Oil Catch Can kit. So these are carbon fiber catch cans. They have a nice little tube so you can see when they actually get full. Comes with the cans, a mounting kit, a mounting bracket, some hoses, and of course the adapters for the hoses. So basically I bought two separate kits. So they're not too expensive, only a couple $100 for all of this. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna have to try to figure out is where we can install these. And one thing we're gonna try and do is we're gonna try and install these in a way that's not permanent. So I don't really wanna drill anything if possible, and I don't really wanna damage anything or alter the car. So one of the things that's true with a lot of these Ferraris is you kind of don't wanna modify things in a permanent way if you don't have to. In the future, when I sell this car, someone might not want them. I don't know why. I mean, to me, this seems like a pretty foolproof thing to do. So just kind of looking around the engine bay, we don't want them too close to any exhaust, so we don't really want to put them like right there. That's a bad idea. And there's space way up there, but then we got hoses that are gonna be running really far. So what I've kind of determined is I think the best spot is actually right below this intake right down here. So there's actually quite a good sized gap right there. And I think it'll look really nice because then it'll look kind of like it was OEM, like it was meant to be, and we can tap right into the PCV system right here. So here's the hose that goes into the intake from the PCV. It comes out of the oil system right down there. So I think the first thing we're gonna do is just remove the air box and all the throttle bodies and all that stuff just to see what we're working with, and then try and get them in there. All right, we're just gonna use a Torx T25 bit and pull off the air box bolts. Getting the air box off is pretty simple. The only catch is you gotta kind of like compress it forward so you don't scratch your paint back here. So what I usually do is compress it on one side and get that side up and clear the paint, and then do the same thing on the other side and just push it real hard. There we go, and we cleared it. So to get the rest of the intake system off, we have to loosen up these guys. So I've already switched these over to regular worm drives as opposed to the Ferrari clamps that are on these things. I forgot what they're called. The other non-usable clamps, or non-reusable clamps. So if you have the non-reusable clamps, you're gonna have to cut them. If you've already switched to these, well, just loosen them up. And then we do have to worry about a bunch of the other hoses and stuff, so we're gonna have to disconnect a few things. So we're gonna disconnect this right here. We got a breather on this side. You just pinch those two and it pops right off. Get that out of the way. We have the MAF sensors, so just gonna remove those real quick. Come on, get that off. There's that one and that one. Okay, we should be able to pop off the throttle bodies. And now we gotta just disconnect a few more hoses and we'll get this thing out of the way. Let's loosen up right here. We should be able to disconnect from the throttle body. There we go. And now we can just get the throttle body out of the way along with the wires. So we got a little bit more working room. So now when I lift the intake up, you can actually see there's the PCV hoses connected. Oops, there they are, connected to the sides of the intake reservoir, or the oil reservoir. So I'm going to cut those little clamps and get those hoses out of there, and then we can pull off the entire intake and kind of assess how we're going to connect everything. So to clip off those unreusable clamps, I found that these work best. So we're going to take and give it a go. So here's this. There. There we go. Alright, got those clamps off the hoses, so we'll try and get the hoses off. These type of hoses, they're like super stiff. And then super greasy. There's that one. There we go. So now it's pretty easy to see that's the connection right there. And there was actually a decent amount of oil on that connection. So, I mean, it's clear that there's going to be some oil particulates getting sprayed up into the intakes. I think it's going to be a good thing that we're doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically intercept this hose right here and run it to our little catch can, which we're going to mount right here onto this subframe. We're going to do that on both sides. And then we'll just take the existing hoses here and kind of connect those to the exit of the oil system. That way we're not kind of damaging any of the existing PCV system. I think that's going to be the best strategy. Okay, got the catch cans assembled, and we basically just need to figure out where we're going to mount the brackets. And like I said, I kind of don't really want to drill anything, so what I'm actually contemplating, and I might be crazy, but I think this will actually work really well, is I'm thinking about actually just zip tying it right to this main frame cross support member. Now we could drill it, but like I said, I don't know. I think we should try and zip tie it. If we could get it tight enough, then it probably makes sense, but I guess maybe it does make sense to drill it. It's just like we would have to really be careful about how exactly we mount it and make sure that it clears all these hoses and components. So it might be kind of tricky. I mean, this is, after all, just a big hollow piece of aluminum, but it's also a support piece, so Alright, so I was trying to zip tie it down, and I was using these like 100-pound zip ties that are made out of nylon, and I was able to kind of jar it loose just by pulling on it, because I wanted to test, if I'm going to be tracking the car or anything, it should be able to sustain a pretty good number of G's, and I just don't feel comfortable that they're going to stay in place. So I am going to end up drilling into the subframe, which it's not the end of the world, but I didn't want to have to do it, but I think it's going to be the best option. So we're going to drill some little mounting bolts and get those cans mounted. Alright, so we got the right hand side mounted, and so you can see it actually looks pretty good. I did end up just drilling and tapping 2 holes for screws, so I ended up using an M5 screw, and that seemed to work really, really well. So you can see there's my 2 screws, and it kind of looks pretty factory. Alright, check it out. There we go. Got the catch cans installed, so I ended up flipping the brackets the other direction, and I think that looks a lot better. So now we just got to get them plumbed, and then theoretically that's it. Like I said, this should be a pretty easy install. I did, like I said, end up drilling and tapping an M5 screw. I think that's the right solution. I mean, I'm not happy I had a drill, but at the same time, I don't think those zip ties were going to work, so that's the only downside. You might have to actually drill and mount these to get them to stay properly. My concern was just, if we're playing hard, I really don't want these cans rattling around or shaking loose and then spraying oil all over the exhaust and then catching fire. So that was my concern. I'd rather have it be more secure than not. And honestly, I think that's a modification that's going to be generally accepted as okay, considering it's helping the engine last longer and need less maintenance. All right, so to get these hoses to fit over that, I had to put a tiny little cut in the hose. That's just going to help make it easier. That allows me to kind of get it past that lip. I mean, it's just a very slight cut, and might not have even done enough on this one. Cinch that down, and then we'll just kind of approximate how much hose we need. It's probably good. don't think it actually matters which side is which. Yeah, so instructions don't, there's no instructions. So I am gonna put it on this one right here because I think it's gonna be easier to get to this one once we start. Oops, shoot. Gotta put my clamp on first. Oh no. There we go. Cinch these down. All right, we're gonna reposition it with the throttle body in place just so we can line it all up correctly. All right, so we can see I got the new hose attached, and we'll kind of see how this looks. Let's get it that way. Get this connected. Voila. All right, so that's gonna work out quite lovely. I'm gonna tighten down this hose. We'll get this wire run. Yeah, we'll get that reconnected. All right, that's on there good. Because I don't want that hose to be in the way. All right, this is a bit embarrassing, but I cannot find the other hose that came with the kit. I lost it somewhere. So for now, I'm just gonna install this clear hose, and I'll either buy some more of the braided hose or I'll find it. Should be somewhere in the garage, but I've looked for about 30 minutes and I can't find it, so I'm a little bit embarrassed about that. But anyway, we're gonna get this hose installed and then we should be good to go. So as again, I had to cut it to get it to fit over the lip, but that isn't going to be a problem once we get it sealed. There we go. Get a clamp on it. Yeah, this hose looks way worse, but whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. We'll find the other one and I'll get it replaced. All right, got it rerouted a little bit better so it's not squishing the tube so much. I feel a little better now. All right, got these all clamped down. So now we just gotta attach the air box and we're good to go. MAF sensor back connected. Well, as you can see, car is back together, catch cans are in there, and you really can't see them very much, so it actually looks kind of stock. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually drive it around a bit over the next few weeks and then see how they're doing and let you guys know and give you an update. So for those of you who are interested in finding out, do these actually help, we'll be able to find out if they're collecting any oil, and if so, how much. So it'd be kind of nice that the hoses are clear because we'll actually be able to see if there's any oil actually being spit back into the systems. I think this is a good thing to do if you happen to have any direct injection car, and certainly it's good for the 458. So those of you that have these probably should consider something like that. And if you do, well, if you want to buy one of these kits, go to my website, normalguysupercar.com, use the code NGS10, and it'll knock off 10%. And there's a link to these catch cans in the description below, so go check it out. We really do appreciate when you guys support the channel by buying stuff through us or by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Those things, of course, do help us out. So thank you tremendously to all of you. We do appreciate it. Again, we still have quite a few projects coming your way, so you guys are gonna wanna stay tuned. It's gonna be sweet.